Hi guys, Aaron Clark here. In this video we're going to have a fun little walkthrough where I try to model 5 rings in 5 minutes each. So we're going to go for a bit of a Halloween theme here, and this came about from me just having a bit of a play around making some rings for me to print off for my 5-year-old daughter. It was just a fun little quick project, and with Halloween imminent I thought this might make a good little video. So like I said, 5 rings in 5 minutes each. That gives me 25 minutes. I am going to be using keyboard shortcuts. I am going to be speeding through it as fast as I can, so you will miss things, and for that I apologise. But hopefully you'll pick up a lot and learn a lot. I'm going to be diving into Modo as well, instead of just sticking straight with Rhino. Modo, you'll see the power of that as well, and how that can be utilised. So without further ado, let's jump in, and we're going to start with a finger rail. So I think I made it 14.5, and that was just sort of like a generic finger. I'm going to do another circle and 2 points. We're going to make this 2mm thick, and we're going to bring the width out to maybe 4mm, something like that. And that's just a little radial array there. So that's our ring shank. Looking good so far. The first one we did was like a sort of like a little pentagram thing. So I'm going to start with putting in a little point right in the middle there, and I'll just move that up, and we'll do a polar array with 5 of those. Might move that down a little bit. So that's going to give me my 5 points of the star, and then it's just a matter of doing something like that. Okay, so that's our pentagram there. I can get rid of SELP PT for points, cell point, and delete those. Now the center of that, so this looks like it's not centered. If you look at the gumball, it looks like it's sort of coming up off center a little bit, but that's basically because this point here is higher than these 2 points here, so it is actually centered. It's kind of hard to explain. It is centered to world origin, but because this point comes up higher, it's sort of creating like a false illusion that it's not centered. So the point of that is that I can't scale in evenly if I just do a gumball scale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale in and just hit 0 for the world, copy equals yes, and then I can sort of scale that in that way. And I'll grab both of those. I might just make those a bit bigger. I'll turn copy off now. Something like that. IS to isolate, and we're going to go for curve boolean outside, and I'm just going to click all the segments that I want to keep. And if I had a bit more time, I'd probably do like the over under kind of thing, but I've only got 5 minutes. Okay, and let's create a bit of a circle to go around that as well. Offset that maybe 1mm, 1.3, and extrude that as well. So we got something like that going on. How's the size of that? A little bit big. Scale it down. And I'm just going to bring that up, and I'll do a little bit of a fillet, maybe a 0.3 fillet across all those top sections there. Looking good. Do I want to bend that? I think I do. I'm going to do a cage edit with a line from here to here, and that's going to give me 4 points, so I can grab those 2 points on the end and drag that down, and a little bit more, something like that. I'm pretty happy with. Before I trim this, no, that's fine. I'm just going to do a quick boolean difference and just chop off that top of the shank there, get rid of that. Okay, now I can come through, select both of those, do a wire cut, and that's going to get rid of those two, select those two, maybe change the color, and that's ring number 1. Hang on, computer's freaking out here. There we go. So ring number 1, we've got a little pentagram kind of thing going on there. Cool. Let's turn off the purple layer. We don't need that. We don't need that. I want to keep and get rid of a bit of this junk here. Okay. Number 2, we'll go for maybe like a spiderweb kind of a thing here. I'm going to offset that distance 0.4 both sides, and let's another polar array, 7 points there, and we'll start drawing in those. And I know some of you are going to say that a true spiderweb will spiral, but this one doesn't. Something like that. So we've got that sort of web thing there, and you can tell, you know, I'm just going to polar array that around as well. We'll bring those in just a little bit, so they're not quite touching there, and 0.3 both sides, yeah, both sides, and how are we looking? Just give these a little bit of a tweak. Yeah, bring this one down a little bit closer, this one a little bit closer. Okay, and I will extrude those pretty crudely. And same sort of thing, I'm just going to do a little fillet across the tops of those. And that is completely freaked out, so we'll step that down from 0.3 to 0.2. And that's looking a little bit better there. Yeah, something like that. Now let's bring those up. And this one's blue, so I'll make those blue. And polar array 7. And that's kind of our spiderweb there. So let's see if we can boolean all these together. Is it going to work? Fail. Okay, so I'm just going to give this a slight tweak. I'm going to bring that in a little bit and try again. There we go. That's worked. Yep. And see if we can get the rest of that to union. Waiting. And that's also worked. Awesome. Doesn't always happen first time, believe me. And get rid of those. Okay, so again, let's do a cage edit. This time, same again with a line. Okay, bring that down. Bring that up a bit. And how are we looking? Yeah, it's kind of cool. And again, we can do a difference, Boolean difference, and make sure that that shank isn't passing through the spider web. And again, a wire cut to get rid of that bottom. And there we have ring number 2. I'll just do a little group that together. If I wanted, I could do a union, but not today. And again, I'm going to group those ones. So we've got our pentagram and we've got our spiderweb, very Halloween so far. And let's go for something a little bit more tricky. So Halloween, of course, we need a jack-o'-lantern. We're going to need a pumpkin. So I'm going to draw a circle, maybe 10 millimeters. I'm going to rebuild that to 32 control points. I'm going to take every 4th control point, so leave 3, take the 4th, And those there, I'm going to bring those in. And then I'm going to go and grab, again, every fourth, and scale those out a touch. Okay, so that's sort of the wobbly profile of a pumpkin. And I'm just going to bring that a little bit smaller. And now we want the sort of side profile, so I'm just going to draw a center line at the moment. And a little bit of a curve, and that sort of dips in a little bit there. Sort of pumpkin profile. We'll see. Little mirror X, join those up, and we're going to do a rail revolve this time. And that is going to give us that shape there. So it's looking a bit tall. Yeah, I feel like it should be a bit more round. So I'm just using this gumball here just to scale things in, scale things out, and just tweak that shape there. Okay, so I'm happy with that, and I'm just going to flatten that, something like that. And we're going to bring that up. So that's kind of our pumpkin. Maybe we'll stretch a little bit that way. Again, we can cut the shank out, and again we can wire cut the base of that out. Alright, and let's draw a little face. So eyes are going to be doing something like this. Join those up, mirror that across. Yeah, that was good. Nose. And mouth. Zigzags. Oops. And we'll give that sort of a bit of a Joker smile there. Nice big ends. Mirror that across. And just tap Alt as you drag the arrow up, and that's going to make a duplicate. And we can turn on our control points for both of those. And just start manipulating these control points to get something, get an effect that we like. Alright, looking very, very Halloweeny now. Something like that, yeah. Is that a bit too wide? There we go. Okay, spooky. And just bring those up. Do a Boolean difference. And there we have our pumpkin. Now we need a little bit of a stalk coming out here. That's our stem. And just join up those curves, and we can also use, that's open at the bottom there, and we can use the close open curves command, and again extrude that up. A little bit of a fillet on the top, soften those edges, bring that up into place, and again wire cut off that bottom bit there. And we'll change layer on that, group those together, and there we have our jack-o'-lantern. Cool. Alright, so that's 3 rings down. How are we doing for time? 15 minutes. Okay, so we're right on schedule. The next 2 are going to take a little bit longer, and I'm going to do a ghost. Kind of like a Pac-Man ghost, nothing too scary for you kids out there. And I'm also going to do like a little fun little skull thing. So to do those, I'm going to now jump into Modo. For those of you that don't know, Modo is kind of like a sub-D modeling software. It is extremely powerful. It's probably more akin to, well, it uses a completely different way of modeling. Rhino uses NURBS, so surfaces, points, curves, whereas Modo is a sub-D, sort of what T-Splines, Clayu, they're both sub-D based modeling software. For myself, I prefer Modo because it is a very powerful program. It doesn't sit within Rhino, it's a separate program, but it does play pretty well. It's got some nice export features. So let's, this is what Modo looks like anyway. We're going to need a new object, and I'm just going to do a cylinder. I don't actually want a cylinder, but I want that shape there. So normally you could sort of drag this up and you get your cylinder. I don't want that, but I do want to center that on the x-axis, and I want to turn on symmetry, and that is going to allow me to select all those and delete. And from here I'm just going to duplicate duplicate. So the top one is going to be our ghosty, and the bottom one is our skull. So go with the ghosty first. Now I've got symmetry on, which means I can select one side and the other side's going to select. And I want all of these curves here, and I just want to edge extend. Now if you're in Clayu or T-Splines, you can absolutely do this. This is, I don't want to do anything, well, I will show you something which is pretty awesome, which you can't do in Clayu or T-Splines. But you know, you'll be able to learn, hopefully learn a bit from what I'm doing here anyway, if you are using Clayu or T-Splines. So you can see what's happening now. We've got our little sort of Pac-Man ghost thing happening. I'm going to add in an extra loop here, and that's going to sort of maintain that edge there. And I'm just going to again put one, yeah, somewhere in the middle there. Okay, and maybe we'll give that a little bit of scale. Cool. Thicken that up. 2 mil, something like that. And you can see what I'm doing now is just hitting tab, and that's switching between so this polygon mode where it's hard edges and a sub-D mode. And let's grab a couple of these. Which ones do I want? Those ones, and the center one. And I'll drag those down, and now we get a bit of that sort of, bit of that effect there. Maybe I'll deselect those. Yeah, now we've sort of got that little wavy effect going on there. I might just slide that one up because I'm getting a little bit of a weird sort of pinching there. How's that looking? And I'll put in a edge loop down the bottom, which is sort of going to tighten up that bottom there, and maybe one sort of up here. You can sort of see that is sort of tighten up those areas there. Okay, now every good ghost is going to need some eyes, and I'm just going to create a new layer, and I've got my symmetry still on, which means I can pull out these cylinders. And We can move those into place there. Now they're a little bit big. We can scale those in a little bit. And just have a little bit of a play there. How are we liking that shape there? Are we liking that? Okay, so this is going to be our eyes. Got caps lock on. Eyes sub. And I want to make a duplicate of that for later. I'm just going to hide that. And we use the same eyes for our skull. So what we're going to do is going to select our ghost. We're going to go to Mesh Fusion. Now I'm afraid you can't do this in Clayu or T-Splines, but what we're going to do is a live boolean, and you'll see what that involves, because personally I love it. And let's push this magic button here. And you can see that we've got this sort of orange mesh here, which are our eyes, and that's creating this boolean into that ghost. Now the awesome thing about this is that it's live. So you can change these, you can scale them in, and you can see that boolean subtraction live updates. The other awesome thing is we've got this sort of edge rounding around where that boolean is, and if we select our fusion item, we can come and click here and get some more options. At the moment the strip width is set to 10, we can change that to maybe 30, and you can see that rounds off more if we select 30%. If we want nothing, you know, that's 1%, that's a very tight, sharp rounding. 50%, very round. 45. You can also change how round or chamfered they are, but for the moment I'm happy with that. I will come in and change our mesh mode to airtight final, duplicate and convert to mesh, create mesh. Okay, so that's our nice mesh there. That's ready to go, and that is our ghosty. All right, switch that off, switch that off, switch that off. We can come back to our skull, and okay, now we can start sort of playing with this this one here. Let's grab those. Where are we? Got to select it first. Again, let's drag that down a bit. Turn the symmetry off for a second. And I'm just going to fiddle a little bit here. Just try and play with the shape a little bit and try and get a little bit of a kind of a cute little skull thing going on. Yeah, it's just a little bit of fiddling. You know, we can add some loops in to try and tighten up some of those corners there. We can sort of straighten things out a little bit if we want. Don't want to straighten that, maybe straighten that a little bit. Yeah, how's that looking? Yeah, it's kind of fun. Alright, so let's thicken this up a little bit. And we will input in an edge loop, closer to the top. Select some polygons. Let's hold shift and press up, and it's going to sort of help us with our selection there. And we're going to use a fall off. We're going to use a radial fall off. And this is just going to modulate the effect that's going to come about when I move this up. You can see that's sort of getting a sort of a rounded effect, and this fall off, well, you can sort of see what's happening. The effect is most intense sort of at the center of this sphere, or this sort of radial shape here. Cool, happy with that. And I might just turn the symmetry back on. Now I'm going to bring that down a bit there. And maybe just scale that in. Oops. Cool. So let's give this chap some teeth. And I'm just going to bevel this out. So we've got some teeth. How's that looking? It's a bit strange, to be honest. Maybe those mandibles sort of need to more push up a little bit. I can grab those. Bring that in. And just start fiddling and playing with that shape. How's that looking? That will do for now, I think. I mean, you could spend all day just fiddling if you wanted. So again, we've got our eyes. We want symmetry on. Oops, not that one. Let's select the eyes sub. Bring that in, bring that in. And I think the skull's a bit too wide there, maybe. Maybe that's it. So we're also going to need a nose for this guy here, and I'm still in the eyes sub, but that's fine. I'm going to create a new cylinder. Can't see it. And I'll make sure that sort of protrudes through, and I just realized I've still got symmetry on, so I've created two cylinders. That's okay. I just want to center that selection to the Y. And again, symmetry back on, and this time we're going to go for a linear fall off, and it's going to make that a bit more sort of nosy. Okay, and now we're ready to do the mesh fusion again. Fusion, new fusion, selected meshes, and magic button. So there it is again. So this is our fusion here. Again, I want to round those corners off. So we'll see what 30 looks like. And I reckon we can go a bit more. 50. That'll do. Okay, let's airtight final. Dupe and convert to mesh. Create mesh. And this one is our skull. And I've got caps lock on again. That's fine. Let's where is it? Export selected layers as an OBJ, and we're just going to pop this here. Skull. We've got our ghost. Export selected layers as an OBJ, and ghost. Okay, so that means that we can now jump back into Rhino, and we can grab our ghost, and we're just going to import that there. And there it is. So that's a mesh, and we're going to change the display by layer, so that's now blue. We're going to make the whole thing this color though. Radial array, sorry, just a revolve that was. Oops, and we're going to change that to that color. Ghost can move up. No, Ghost can stay there actually. And I'm just going to create a half circle. Stretch that out. Come on. Hold down shift for both sides. Unroll surf. Center that. The ghost needs to come and sit on top of that. And then we can flow on surf. There and there. And you can see our ghost is sort of up the top there now. And if we want to make the ghost a little bit bigger, which I think we do want to, we can do that, move it up a little bit, maybe longer, maybe down a little bit. Okay, cool, I'm happy with that. Again, I'm going to split the shank, delete out the center and cap the end. So now we've got a closed solid poly surface. And we'll bring that down there. Get rid of that. Create another shank. I'm going to go for red this time. And we're going to bring in our skull. Import. There's an OBJ. By layer. So yes, our skull is red, and yeah, we'll make that bigger. Bring it down, bring that up so it's sitting on top of that surface. And we are going to flow along surface again. You know, this is actually facing the wrong way, so let's flip and flow along surf. Doesn't want to play. There we go. I think I want to make that a little bit higher. And stretch it out. Get a little bit of sort of distortion going on there. And we'll pull that down a little bit. Okay, delete, delete, delete. Let's grab that. We're going to split that and cap that. Move that one down. Group. And let's grab these guys back. Okay, so there we have 5 rings in 33 minutes and 25 seconds. So yes, I've failed. I'm afraid I have failed. That's probably closer to 6 minutes per ring, plus a little bit of waffling. My apologies. Hopefully you've learnt something. Hopefully it's shown you a little bit of the power of Modo and Sub D. And hopefully it's shown you that, you know, once you're confident with the software and you can sort of, you know, bash out some things pretty fun things quite quickly. It's a great thing to do, just to have a little project like this where, you know, it doesn't really matter. You're not doing it for a client. You're not having to produce these. You're just having fun, and you just sort of, you just, like I said, just having a bit of a play, a bit of a noodle, doing something different, testing yourself. You know, just having fun basically. So, we'll do a render. How's this look? There we go. So we've got our pentagram, we've got our spiderweb, we've got our lantern, jack-o'-lantern, little skull and little ghost. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm afraid it was fast, and I know that you have missed a lot. But like I said, it's a great thing to do, just to sort of jump in and have a bit of fun, have a bit of a play, stick with a theme, try and just try do new things, different things, stretch yourself, get yourself out of your comfort zone. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.